Alright, let's check out this video from Sticks then, shall we? Let's have a look. Wuthering Waves haters are absolutely pissed. Sticks video. We do like a bit of Sticks on this channel. Let's move my cam up here so we can see his beautiful face when he switches scenes, if he does. And let's see as well. Actually, don't play this game because you'll probably get really drunk. Take a drink every time he hates on Terra Fantasy. I think it's funny. He gets people triggered about it, actually. Well, let's get into it then. Wuthering Waves haters are absolutely pissed.
It's just hit an achievement that only 2 other gacha games in history have hit.
Okay.
Wuthering Waves crosses 10 million downloads on TapTap alone. This is disregarding the Android store, the Google Play store. This is disregarding the Apple store. This is disregarding PC via their.
Oh, is that just directly from TapTap? That's quite big, actually, isn't it? That
client on TapTap alone, Wuthering Waves has amassed over 10 million downloads. That is incredible. Now, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the little bell notification. That way you remain
haters will say it's bots.
up to date with every single thing that I post, and I post daily. Do not miss out. Wuwa has now become the 3rd gacha game to cross 10 million downloads in under 6 months, right after Genshin.
Alright, what's the other 2 games then? Oh, shit. I was just about to play a game. What's the other 2 games? But right after Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Spoiled it.
Impact and Honkai Star Rail. And I know there are going to be immediately people that are thinking, but Sticks, Zenless is probably closing in on 10 million too. Yeah, Zenless probably is, but we're not here to talk about Zenless because Zenless was a more recent release and evidently hasn't attained that number yet that I'm aware of. At least I don't want to take away from Zenless's upcoming achievement, but at the same time I do not want to take away from the current Wuthering Waves achievement. If you navigate on over to the TapTap page, you'll see that not only is Wuthering Waves listed as the number 8 action game.
What? Game size 1.86 gig. What? So is TapTap? Is TapTap a mobile thing? And what is the size of Wuthering Waves on phone?
Right now, but it also has 10,050,000 downloads. This is up over 10,000 downloads since this was posted just several hours ago. I am curious of what the 10 most popular action games are on TapTap. It looks like Black Myth Pixel Edition, Blaze Blue Chaos Effect, Delta Operation, there's Punishing Grey Raven, Genshin Impact at number 5.
Hey, let's go, PGR repping.
Number 6. Wuthering Waves at number 7. Oh, okay, so apparently it's at number 7, even though on the official TapTap page it listed it being number 8. Sure, bro.
That's before everything else installs, yeah.
Okay.
Fun and Havoc.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Love and Deep Space at 11. Zenless Zone Zero at number 12. Snowbreak at number 18. Nice. Okay. So, Honkai Impact 3's down at 22. So evidently, a lot of people still seem to think that Punishing Grey Raven is the superior action game out of the 2.
Love in Deep Space at 11. ZZZ at 12. Is that what PGR's called in China? Paladin. What's Delta Operation?
I also see based off of this that Genshin Impact also has a
the hell is Eyes of the Deep Sky? No idea, never heard of it. Never heard of I've never heard of Blade Realm. I think I've heard of Blade Realm. I've never heard of Misty Continent. That's Aether Gazer, isn't he? That's Aether Gazer. That looks like Vathandia out of Aether Gazer. I think that's what that might be, maybe? Now PGR is called Twin Battle Punishing. What's this here? Paladin then? Because that looks like Vathandia out of Aether Gazer, that does. Dust White Forbidden Zone. So that's Snowbreak? Okay.
As an action game than Wuthering Waves.
Demon subduing technique.
I've never said that Genshin isn't a more popular game. It is.
Battle Girls Parkour.
I know some people are gonna get a little bit angry.
Warm snow. If you ever feel warm snow, wash your hands. Okay. And especially if it's yellow, then get back home and wash your hands.
That I stated that. This still is an incredible achievement. Over 10 million downloads, rated number 7 in terms of action games in all of China, or action gacha games at the very least in all of China. This isn't the global TapTap website. This also isn't the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store. This is unrelated to global as a whole. China seems to have a more positive opinion, or a more positive perception of Wuthering Waves right now, and
that's good.
I guess
that's going to be good for the game in general.
I
don't want to see I want to see a balance in the regions. I don't want it to become Genshin and China drastically like overshadow every other region in terms of spending, because then Kuro will tend to listen to that region a little bit more. I want it to be a bit more balanced, but at the end of the day, the game doing well in China is good for the game in general.
1.3 with Shorekeeper. Before that, a lot of Chinese players were kind of upset with the game overall, and that is perfectly understandable. But with the release of 1.3 in Shorekeeper, we saw a mass influx of positive votes across every single platform, significantly boosting up the overall rating for.
I think Styx is trying to troll me as well. He usually has his face over here in the little circle, and I've moved my camera now, and he's down in the bottom right corner now.
Every single region of the game. This is nothing but good news for Wuthering Waves, because Chinese players are always a very important demographic for any game that releases in China, or any Western game as well. They are an enormous market when it comes to movies, TV series, and more importantly, video games.
It's a massive market for anything. What, you're talking 1 billion plus people now, up and coming income, you know, a country that's highly skilled, you know, is like non-stop just improving all the times in terms of infrastructure, quality of life. People have got way more disposable income nowadays, haven't they? Access to technology. Like, it's, if you want to get access to a massive market, China is the place to go, isn't it? And India will be soon following China in that regard, I would imagine.
For anyone that was saying Wuthering Waves is a dead game, they are coping, beyond coping.
Anybody who uses Sensor Tower anyway, they're coping. Like, and this might sound like a cope, but especially for Wuthering Waves, because in my opinion, Wuthering Waves is it's a PC game at the moment that happens to have a mobile client, you know? And Sensor Tower takes iOS data and then times it by 1.5 to guesstimate Android data as well, which, you know, might be about right, but could be miles off the mark for one. And 2, doesn't take into PC, which I think is probably a major part of the spending in Wuthering Waves, because the game is just better on PC. Obviously, when it comes to console as well, you know? So, yeah, you shouldn't really take too much stock in Sensor Tower, really.
Let's see what some of these comments have to say. Before we go any further, let me take a
People
moment here
treat it like it's gospel,
over on
you know
Patreon,
what I mean?
and my YouTube channel members will allow for me to continue.
It's like they
to
don't even get their
videos
iOS
like this
numbers
every
right,
single day.
so
You guys are
the idea that
phenomenal,
they're getting
and I can't
Android
thank you all
numbers
enough
right
for the
is
support.
mental.
Now let's keep talking. Free 10 polls, please.
I know, yeah.
Funds.
Do you know what? I think checking revenue on gacha games, it's always kind of been a bit of a trend, but it seems to have exploded since Wuthering Waves came out. Now, you'll find me on this channel, I've got my biases, you know, I can't deny that, but I try to look at things as objectively as I can in regards to that stuff. But what I have noticed that since Wuthering Waves came out, the revenue seems to be way more interesting to people, because I think that, you know, because it hasn't done as well as some people was expecting it, I guess, on Sensor Tower, which again, it's not the best source to get your information from for most games, let alone Wuthering Waves. You know, it just seems to have been a thing now that's become a real big trend, and I don't know if it's so every month people can go, aha, my game that I've got no investments in made more money than your game. Somebody's living good over there. Have that.
Have Kuro not noticed that we hit over 10 million downloads? Dude, we need a free 10 poll for this, 100%.
Yeah, Star Rail versus Genshin was a big thing as well.
10 poll, 100%, that's what we need. Well, if it isn't the totally failing gacha, that will totally end of service soon. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, only 10 million downloads on one platform. How terrible. Congrats, Kuro.
Tribalism is real,
yep. Rewards, we all are. The rate
Don't get me wrong, it's a natural state for humans to be in, isn't it? You know, it's in our DNA. We've always been tribalistic, and sometimes it benefits us. But sometimes it just makes us seem smooth-brained as fuck.
About this is it didn't happen during launch, it happened now, meaning there is undeniable proof that beyond its launch hype, there is a lot of interest in the game. 100%. There are some...
Yeah, I agree, Kasumi, you're right. You guys are right. I suppose in the circles that are content that I've watched a bit more recently, I've noticed it's become more of a thing. But yeah, you are right. I did see a lot of it when Star Rail dropped, because it was that like interfighting between the communities that was happening for a while.
Downvoted comments here that are hidden.
Gacha players aren't
curious
humans.
What they're gonna say. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume it's something related to Genshin, Hoyo, or just general Wuwa criticism. So let's take a look. Wuwa needs more characters, even filler ones. Other games have a lot of different characters. This is gonna help the game. While I don't disagree, I do genuinely think we need more characters. At the same time, I don't think we're really lacking in characters. We're getting like 2 to 4 characters for every single patch. I think that's already plenty. Plus, it gives us time to save, so we don't have to spend so much
for
fear of missing out on a character.
I'm a light spender, and when I say light spender, I'm a light spender. You know, I've only spent like 150 quid on the game altogether, and like a good portion of that's on like the Lunite Pass and the podcast. And I missed Jeji because I lost my 50-50, and I was like, right, I'm keeping my guarantee for sure keeper. So yeah, I want to see more characters in the game, but I don't want. I'm happy with the way things are going at the minute, because I don't want to end up missing out on a bunch of characters. As I say, I've only missed out on Jeji and Ling Yang. That's the only 2 characters I don't have in the entire game. And Yoo-Hoo at the minute, but I'm going to get Yoo-Hoo. So like, I'd like to keep it that way. I'd like to be able to try and at least get everybody, or like 90% of the characters.
Is TapTap? I mean, you know what? For someone that doesn't know, that's actually a genuine question. I don't know why that is as downvoted as it is.
You can be tribalistic but an arsehole, who knew, right?
W News, we need to make sure Wuwa beats Genshin. So I knew this was coming. I knew without a shadow of a doubt there was going to be someone somewhere that brought Genshin into this. In the Wuthering Waves community, and like, don't get me wrong, I do genuinely like the Wuwa community for the most part.
I agree for the most part, but I think that it's like any community, that it's full of arseholes as well. We don't need to make examples. We know it, don't we?
In the Wuwa community, there is always someone referencing Genshin. In the Zenless community, there is always someone referencing Wuwa. In the Genshin community, there is always...
That's the one I don't really always get. I get it because they're both new games, but like, I just don't find myself feeling the need, because I'll compare games. Like, the only reason I try and I make comparisons really is like in terms of gameplay. And I see that, like, you know, Wuthering Waves and Genshin are kind of like direct competitors in terms of the games they are. I don't get the Zenless Wuthering Waves comparisons. I'm like, Zenless is more like a PGR, like an Aether Gazer type game, you know what I mean? It's an instanced, fast combat game where Wuthering Waves is an open world RPG. So I get it when people make those comparisons, but sometimes people just like, they've got to throw the bait out, didn't they, as well? That's what I think a lot of people are doing sometimes as well, and people fall for it also in both communities.
Someone mentoring the failed Tower of Fantasy or the failed Wuthering Waves. There is always someone mentioning one of the other major games, and it is just unbelievable.
I love it, I do. I like watching people froth at the mouth and argue with each other online. I'll just sit on the sidelines with my popcorn laughing.
Unbelievably toxic. You can't, I feel like you can't go into any topic without...
A gacha community in general are toxic, yeah. At least we were a community, don't cry about skin tone, harassing, voice acting, attempted assassination. This is true. I think there are levels, and some of the crazy parts of the Genshin community are super, super crazy. That's definitely a thing. I think the biggest problem with Wuthering Waves in the community, in my opinion, which it doesn't trigger me, because I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't spend too much time getting invested in community side of things, really, because people can be weird. But it's maybe the toxic positivity that I'm like, can we not do that? Because I feel like that's going to not help the game. We need to make sure we're critical when we need to be critical. And you should be critical of things you like more than things you don't like as well. But yeah, man, there's some crazies, definitely.
Out someone referencing one of the other games that are in direct competition with the game being discussed. In this instance, it's Genshin Impact. We do not need Wuthering Waves to beat Genshin. We don't need Zenless to beat Wuthering Waves. They are different games with different target demographics, with different graphical styles, different combat styles, different pros, different cons. Every game is unique in its own way and has its own unique dedicated player base. While there might be aspects of each game that are better or worse than the other, no game is infallible and is undeniably objectively better in every single way than the other. That is the long and short of it. That is the God-honest truth.
Preference at the end
Anyone
of the day,
that tells you differently is biased. Do we though? Can't we just hope that both games...
One thing I will say though to that, everybody is biased. This is one thing as well that I've noticed that people love to do, and I'm not calling sticks out here. I just mean in general when people are making discussions, when they're talking about things, and they're like, oh, you're just biased. And it's like, well, so are you. It's not a bad thing. Everybody's biased. Whether it's conscious or subconscious, there's a thing dictating whether you prefer this to that. And you're always going to try and be objective, but your bias is always going to pull you one way or the other. It's just about being honest about it, isn't it, really? You know, everybody's got the bias.
Keep forcing each other to be better and enjoy both. Exactly, yes, sir.
Toxic positivity is stupid, yeah.
Wuwa's release.
It's worse for you as well.
Push
like,
Genshin.
Being toxic full stop's never good for you because you're spending too much energy on something that you shouldn't be bothered with. But I think toxic positivity, especially towards something you like, is not great because it harms the thing that you like from him. You know, it stops it from improving. You should be honest of where I think, okay, this needs a tweak, that needs a tweak. You know, there's quite a few CCs in the Wuthering Waves space now that like Kuro sneeze and they're like, oh, did you see that? Absolutely. Genshin could never, you know, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, you know, you want the game to be better. Stop being such an arse licker.
To become a better game. Genshin is still the more popular game, but Genshin is taking note of all of its direct competition.
Oh, yeah, of course they are.
Everness to Everness. Project Mugen, evidently Wuthering Waves. These games, the fear of being left behind is only going to help Hoyo improve. And there is nothing wrong with that. We do not need a game to defeat Genshin Impact. Honkai Star Rail did that like a year ago. All we need are good...
As well, let's say if Wuthering Waves cleared Genshin in terms of revenue. And, you know, just imagine if that, I feel like that, man, I feel like the community would get absolutely crazy. But like, so, okay, the game you play is making more money. Cool, I guess.
Games that are good by themselves, not good because they need to compete against Hoyo. No, we just need games that are good. That is it. That is thankfully what Wuthering Waves is.
So I've talked to YouTube since more people in. No worries.
Camellia is going to be, and I think Dawn's going to be, Project Mugen's going to be. I swear people like you probably don't even play WoW. They just comment shit like this to make us look bad. Yeah, these type of MFs gives the impression this community is just a bunch of Genshin haters, despite it being one of the most wholesome communities I've seen. Okay, I'm not gonna say
it's not gone too far. Yeah, get facts.
I think that's that's definitely questionable. This is a gacha community.
That there again is like that toxic positivity, like, you know, that I've seen that, like, where people are like, oh, it's the best community in gacha. It's like, is it though? I feel like the best communities in gacha are the communities you just don't really hear much about because you're not, guess what? They're playing the video game and then sharing stuff about the game, and that's it. You know what I mean? They're not on another game's comment section trying to argue that their game's better. And I feel definitely the Wuthering Waves community does that a lot. Because the amount of times I look in comment sections on... I'll be honest, I think I see more Wuthering Waves commenters in Genshin videos than I do Genshin commenters in Wuthering Waves videos. Now, it might be anecdotal where I'm looking, and I think when Wuthering Waves first came out, there was a lot of that. But I think that's kind of settled down a bit now. I feel like it's more the other way, if I'm honest.
Yeah, after all, I do think WoW has a relatively good, kind community. Not all of them, granted, but I do also think that trolls do love pretending to be a part of a community.
Oh yeah, they love to bait the communities, don't they?
Discredit the community.
BGR fans are too busy molding, right?
By being an absolute ass hat. And at the end of the day, those are always going to exist to make communities look bad and to try and get communities to engage one another. These are the kinds of people you ignore And I'm glad this comment was downvoted because we don't need more hate in this community. There is already enough as it is. Once again, huge accomplishment, big win. I have no doubt we're only going to get more wins in the future.
It is,
Wuthering Waves is
10
only
million
going to
downloads, pretty
continue
big that
to
is,
soar.
especially
And
only
I'm
on
going
one
to love
specific
playing it and
outlet
covering
as well,
it every
you know?
step of the way. Hey, you, where do you think you're going?
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, good to see. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I like Wuthering Waves. Yeah, obviously, I do. I'm critical. I am. I like to be critical of things, especially things I like as well. But I want to see Wuthering Waves succeed. I think Kuro are good actors in the space. You know, I think in the gaming space, from developers and publishers, we've got a lot of bad actors. You know, there's a lot of shitty developers out there and shitty publishers out there that trying to nickel and dime us left, right, and center. I suppose that's quite ironic considering we're talking about gacha games. But you know, the content's not great. They want to preach to us. They're more interested in messages rather than giving us good content. And I feel like Kuro genuinely seem to have a passion for creating stuff for their fan bases that they're going to enjoy. And they're trying the best to make money, but at the same time balance it. And I feel like in this space, they're definitely, you know, whether they're the most generous, whatever, I'm not getting into that because I don't think they are. But I think they want to make the best product, and I think that's evidently clear with Kuro, and I really like that about them. So I want to see them do well, and I will glaze Kuro when I feel like they deserve it. But yeah, I think we get a little bit carried away sometimes, don't we? Asteroids never enough, right?